Hello, beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. Cody, always here to help you have the most healthy, glowing, and gorgeous skin, regardless of your age, concern, or budget. And if you love this info, please subscribe. I have the wonderful, the one and only, Miss Crystal Wanchai.
Hi.
And I thought it would be kind of fun to flip the roles and to ask Crystal some questions, especially about Asian skin, because we have a lot of clients who have Asian skin. And I think that it's important to kind of have them hear maybe from somebody who actually has their skin type. The reason I was thinking about this is because a lot of, Asian skin is so beautiful and flawless that, it might seem like you don't really need most of what we have in skincare or the industry. And so I think the first question I wanted to ask you is, what would be the biggest misperception of having Asian skin? Right, because a lot of times the people will say, oh, it's really sensitive and you have to be careful and stuff. So what is like a big misperception about having Asian skin?
Actually, well, now that you brought that up, I think the sensitivity part, which is true, but I think it also depends on how you take care of your skin. If you're using the right products to strengthen it, and
what do you mean to strengthen it?
To strengthen as far as having less reaction towards things. So for example, if I'm using something active like my alpha hydroxy acids, that helps me out a lot, and just helping my skin to repair, to build up strength so that it's not so fickle with when I'm working on it. Because back in the day, oh my god, if I did an extraction, I would welt up and it would be like that for a couple hours and then go away. And now I notice, now that I've been able to kind of play with my skin a little and push it the way it needs to be, it doesn't react that way as much anymore. So that's kind of what I mean by strengthening it, is not having as much reaction, sensitivity towards things. Now there's a difference though between when you're having a sensitivity towards a product that you may be allergic to or your skin doesn't agree with, which you can tell. And that way you get those kind of ingredients, usually you get more like high-V and itchy and rashy, kind of those type of symptoms.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like sensitized versus sensitive.
Correct.
Okay.
And then also, a lot of it is genetics, so I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea and be like, oh yeah, you have to use this and this. I mean, a lot of it's...
I agree.
You're born with it, to be honest, and I don't... Even with me, when I get compliments, I'm like, oh, thank you so much, but I can't take all of it. It's... genetics, so I just try to continue to take care of it the best I can so it can look healthy.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because it's important for us in the industry to have integrity. And the number one thing about integrity is that you need to remember that, like, yes, just because you use my products and have great skin doesn't mean it's only the products. There's your genetics, your genetic makeup, right? So your skin is thicker and it has more collagen and it has more melanin in it, which is what causes most people to age less, is the melanin, because it protects you from the sun.
That's really the only thing, huh?
Yeah.
The number one thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to...
People think it's the oil,
or
oily skin, or
moisturizing.
moisture. It's not. It's the amount of melanin you have in your skin. If you see people with Fitzpatrick, like 3 and up, they usually age better than a more fair skin, white skin.
Yeah, and it's only because we have a natural, what I call our natural SPF in our skin, which is the color.
Yeah.
So
my next question is, if somebody who has Asian skin, more sensitive skin, and they're breaking out, what is something that they can do to start to help their breakouts at home?
I think introducing your skin to alpha hydroxy acids are great. That's a really good way to start to get some exfoliation.
Versus benzoyl peroxide, or?
Yeah, benzoyl, for me, in what I've seen a lot, especially with ethnic skin, Asian skin, is that with benzoyl, now it really depends. It can be great, especially if you're having way more acne, more of a struggling case, and you're very oily and cystic. I think that it's useful and necessary, but I tend to go with salicylic acid for spot treating or more of my breakout clearing solution. And I notice I haven't had any issues with it. It's great for inflammation, which comes a lot with Asian skin or any acne, And then one thing too, that when I used benzoyl peroxide as a spot treatment back in the day, I would notice I would get hyperpigmentation. It would be just a quick one, but let's say I did it before nighttime, right? The next morning I would wake up and you could see exactly where it was and where it spread. Like it would just be this like color, this very light strip of color, and it would go away. So that kind of freaked me out. So I never, I stopped using benzoyl. I was like, okay, maybe my skin doesn't agree with it. Maybe it's too much. So salicylic's kind of been my go-to, and that's what I usually recommend if I notice you have more of my type of skin or something.
Yeah. That's really great. I'm glad that you brought that up, because benzoyl peroxide is so promoted. Like it's the only thing that works. It's the best thing that works, and definitely can help with breakouts, because it helps to because it's oxygen, it kills bacteria. Bacteria can't live in a place where there's oxygen, so it can be very beneficial. But a lot of people don't have that deep, painful acne, and then they use a lot of benzoyl peroxide, and then they sensitize their skin, especially if they have Asian skin, or they get the pigmentation because of inflammation in their skin. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Salicylic acid is so like under the radar. I'm like, everybody should be using it.
I know,
like,
I feel like that, but I don't know if I'm biased because I'm like, you need it.
Yeah,
I think you should, So I always, I try to, guide the right way, because, some people had amazing results with benzoyl, but you can't really go wrong with salicylic unless you have like an aspirin allergy or something. But yeah, I think introducing your skin to alpha hydroxy acids, salicylic acid, brighteners, but that's a little more advanced later, and then sunscreen's the biggest thing. In general, of course, but more so because you have that pigment, so you don't want that UV to signal that response. You're already having inflammation, and now you got UV, so it's just like this storm. So you want to protect it, and so that way you can control scarring, dark marks, and things like that.
Very nice. Yeah, that's great. So my last question then is, since Asian skin typically, is that the right thing to say, Asian skin, or are people going to be all flipped out because I'm not saying ethnic, or because then I said ethnic one time and somebody flipped out at me, so like I can't keep up anymore.
I honestly don't. I mean,
does it really matter, guys?
It doesn't bother me. Yeah. I think it just it seems appropriate to kind of specify what you're trying to talk about.
Yeah. So okay.
I mean, let us know. Is there a better terminology to say it? I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my last question then is, since Asian skin typically ages better and doesn't, need a lot of stuff that others kind of struggle with, then what would be like the best anti-aging thing for Asian skin, and is it even necessary?
Oh, that's a great question. I think one product that everyone could benefit from, depending on your age, maybe once you hit your 20s, once you start going to 25, you can look into maybe retinol or any form of vitamin A. I like retinol because it's a little more friendlier than retin A, and then that way you don't have to go out and get a prescription. But I find that to be one of the transformative ingredients to use, especially for anti-aging. You can fall into genetics, but at some point you want to try to help your skin too, and just even repairing, because it's just great to use to just get your skin healthy and up, and if you want that transformation. But retinol and sunscreen, that would be like my two if I had to answer for anti-aging, especially being Asian.
Yeah, because I think that grew up in Hawaii, so grew up, and worked at all the counters, so grew up with tons of, Asian people, and they always, just have great skin, but they deal with a lot of pigmentation, is what I notice, instead of like wrinkles, like hardcore wrinkles. So I think all of it can help, but sometimes I see like, I know especially like in Korea, they're really great with skincare and they love their systems and everything. And I see a lot of people that aren't Asian using those Korean systems. And I say, do whatever you resonate with, of course. And if you love doing like 18 steps, that's awesome. Do you, totally. But I also remember like, okay, you could use 18 products, but you're never going to have the genetics of an Asian person, because like, they don't really even need all 18 steps, but they just love the ritual of it all and that look and stuff. But I think a lot of people get caught in that thinking that will work for them, and I'm not saying that it won't, but nothing works like genetics. And so
it's really that. And just also too, he did mention that pigmentation, it is a big
Yeah.
thing. You know, I look at my grandparents or my mom and kind of see, you know, how they age, and that's kind of how I know I might be, because it's genetics. But yeah, what they call it, the age spots, the dark marks, all that, very much prone. So that's also why I mentioned the sunscreen being a big factor. That's why you see them always covering up, you know, even the gloves, you know, the umbrellas. I mean, that's the secret. Like before, I used to be like, oh my God, they look crazy, but it was all for a reason. Yeah.
Now they have the face kini in China. Have you seen that?
No.
Where they wear a mask over their face. It looks
Oh.
creepy as hell.
I feel like I
It's
would do
"Ooh."
it.
But it blocks out all the sun, and so you just see the eyes.
It's the point. Yeah. They're like, I'm gonna look crazy, but I'm gonna look great.
I'm like, where do I get a face kini?
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I think that's good start. I thought it would be great to just have you kind of talk about, you know, your genetic, your skin type, and just, you know, help people. So yeah.
Hopefully it helped. I
Yeah,
hope that
hopefully
I shed some light on anything that might have confused you, or if you had any questions relating.
Yeah, feel free to
Yeah.
ask those questions below. Crystal and I or someone from our team will help to answer your question if you have any questions about today's video or your type of skin if you have Asian skin. And if you love this info, please subscribe, and don't forget to stay gorgeous, and we'll see you really soon in a new video. Bye.
Bye.